Welcome to Venture North. I'm Roy Flynn. Somewhere in your home, or perhaps tucked into the corner of a relative's attic, are some old photos that have a special meaning for you or your family. Well, Paul Aubin has the same situation, except on a scale that most of us would find hard to comprehend. While you have a handful of pictures, Paul has whole rooms full of them. The Aubin Photo Shop in Hibbing looks a lot like any other small-town studio. The walls are lined with small boxes of film. All shapes and sizes of cameras are displayed on the shelves. But there is something different here. Paul Aubin has worked for most of his life in the shop his father started in 1907. Today he's working on a project of monumental proportions, converting into prints the thousands of photos his father took over the years. The Aubin collection is a stunning visual history of not only Hibbing, but of much of northern Minnesota. Many of the images were first exposed on ancient glass plates and early celluloid film. To date, Paul Aubin estimates that he's developed about 10,000 of his father's photos. That's an incredible number of pictures, but what's even more mind-boggling is that Aubin estimates he hasn't developed even half the photos in the collection. Many local and state historical societies have shown keen interest in the collection, but there are also the people who come in just to look or maybe find a photo of a long-lost relative or friend.
The amazing thing is that college age, a little bit older than college, will come in and look for grandparents, pictures and such as that. And I have one lady that must be about 23 that comes in about twice a year. And she's hunting for a picture of her grandfather, and she knew that my dad took his picture on numerous occasions. And she'll come in about twice a year, and she may spend half of the day or more and start going through the different stacks and such. And we try to figure out which one she didn't see before.
Has she found any photos of a...
She found him in 2 groups so far. But she wants to get some of him alone yet. She knows they're there somewhere.
Paul Aubin Sr. grew up in Ely. He quit school after the 7th grade when he became fascinated with photography. During the course of his career, he owned several photo studios in Hibbing and other Iron Range cities. His son won't venture to guess how many negatives and glass plates might have been disposed of over the years because of a lack of storage space. But the junior Aubin does have some thoughts about what his father might think about this project he's undertaken.
Well, he more than likely would laugh and say, "Boy, are you wasting your time."
You didn't think too much of some of the photos you took?
Well, you never do.
Yeah?
No. No, he had lots of, he held most positions in the State Photographers Association. He had lots of them that he had run different ribbons and everything else, and he'd come back and laugh, and he'd always say that, well, they have to give the ribbon to somebody. He'd say, "This time I got it."
The process of converting the glass plates and old celluloid into prints is pretty much the same as making pictures out of the film you'd buy today. But included in the Aubin collection are a large number of panoramas, photos that show a wide area. They're great for things such as large group pictures, but they're not so easy to develop.
Okay, see, this one he has labeled at St. Julian's Picnic Grounds, Sturgeon Lake, Legion Picnic, August 16th, 1925. So this is out at Sturgeon Lake. This is at Side Lake, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just, about a half a block up from our cabin. And you can see the big slide here where they used to crawl up. It's pretty rickety, but they used to climb up here and slide on down.
Uh-huh.
And he must have went out in the boat, and there's about 3 or 4 negatives. Most of them are blurry, but this is nice and sharp on this one.
And these are a little bit more difficult to develop?
These are much more difficult to develop because this one isn't quite so long, but the long one, it takes 2 people in order to duck it into the developer and the shortstop and the hypo.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a one-person procedure, is it?
Aubin also has the old cameras to go with the photos. Several display cases and shelves are filled with the early models, and surprisingly, they keep coming in.
Well, every once in a while, somebody will come in and say, well, here, your dad sold me this in 1932 or such, and I want you to have it because if I leave it, my kids will just throw it away. So every once in a while, I get one that way. Most of the cameras over there, my dad had in the back.
Mm-hmm.
I would say maybe 90%.
They were his cameras?
Yeah, they were his cameras, right.
Paul Aubin says he won't finish the collection before he retires. There are just too many photos to develop, and he keeps finding more old plates stashed away in nooks and crannies of the studio. It's not that he's sad about it. He's quite content in the knowledge that he's added a little happiness to the lives of those who remember, and also to those who want to know of a time that once was. A quick note on our last story. Paul Aubin's been doing quite well identifying the people in the photos he's developed. Out of the 10,000 that are finished, only about 300 remain unidentifiable.